Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owen, I'm Oli Davis, and today we're going to be reviewing this week's episodes of Raw and Smackdown, including another US title change, Chris Jericho's return, and what might be the best storyline in WWE right now. If you want to go to any of those discussions right away, or a particular review of Raw or Smackdown, or what we decided was better, click the timestamps in the video description below, or stick right here where we're going to talk about podcasts.
Yes, because we are now a podcast. This is a podcast format.
Hey, do you guys know what a podcast is? It's this fantastic new audio-only thing that I can have on my phone, that I can download and listen offline, off the grid. I could go camping.
What? Like when you're going to work /college/school or something like that?
Insert other place here where you can't just watch YouTube. Yeah, you could sneakily put some headphones in, have it on your phone, and not listen to or do what you're meant to be doing and just... Do you ever used to do that at school?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I listened to... That's how I listened to most of Issues by Korn, was just on my CD player, headphones through. That's 2000. That's 2000 for you.
I'm glad Korn have come up. You don't hear that every day.
You don't, do you?
Well, because after me and my lady partner had a bit of a binge of that particular style of music from the noughties on Friday evening, because of course Chester Bennington sadly passed away, R.I.P. of Linkin Park fame, and we were like, because I wasn't a Linkin Park guy, I just thought they did good music, but I wasn't into them, whereas my lady partner had the albums. So it was like, let's listen to a few. And then, oh no, what's this in the suggested videos? Is that Creed My Sacrifice?
Oh, don't know, that song's
the
awful.
song that was used in the promo package for SummerSlam 2000. My lady partner didn't care about that, but I explained how good that pay-per-view was anyway. And we watched that video where do you remember this video?
My memory of Creed My Sacrifice is that you say it was used for the promo package for SummerSlam 2000. It was used in a lot of video packages, especially when someone died or was leaving. It was My Sacrifice.
Because it's a great song.
It's not a great song.
That was that song is actually quite important to me, because that's when I first realised the world doesn't work the way I want it to. Because we were in the UK, that was an American song. It was a rare instance of where I heard a song before most of my contemporaries or people I went to school with. I was like, well, when this song is released over here, it's so good. It's obviously going to go to the top of the UK charts. You know, because I hadn't quite separated what I thought was good for what the mainstream thinks is good. And my sister said, "You're an idiot. That's not going to happen."
And your sister is someone who knows, as someone who obsessed over the charts.
And I was like, no, it's going to happen. 3 months later, when it was finally released, I was waiting for it. Didn't even feature in the top 40.
Of course it didn't. The song's awful.
I remember going down to like the last two, and I thought, I don't think it's going to be in there, because the song that was number one last week is probably going to now be number one because it hasn't featured yet.
Yeah.
And I just that was a real I am out of step with most of mainstream culture.
I didn't like that song. Although I was, the summer of 1999, heavily soundtracked by Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. My friends and I, 13 years old, used to listen to that and play video games. That summer was soundtracked by Linkin Park, Rob Zombie, because he'd released Hellbilly Deluxe the previous year, CKY's Volume 1.
Of course, who went on to become Jackass.
They did indeed, yes. I think because Jackass came out in 99 as well, and Bam Margera had just released their first. I think he'd done it in 98. But I picked up the album in 99. So it's those were the three big albums of that summer. Oh, what a great summer it was as well.
Yeah, well,
a lot of Smash Brothers on the N64.
Oh yeah, go around a friend's house. I was always Kirby, so I was always kind of floating away from everyone. Wait for it. Big attack. Float away again.
A few years later, when Smash Brothers Melee came out, my friends and I, we used to we'd unlocked all the characters, so then we would just go around to his house, put on some tunes. By that point, we'd got onto some more albums. I'd gone off Linkin Park by that point, but Rob Zombie was still heavily featured, as was CKY. Queens of the Stone Age were heavily played. Pantera, Slayer was on there as well. And then you would just take your little coin where you select, and you move it into the blank spaces, because if you pressed A, it's randomly selected a character. So we would just randomly select characters until we had played, each of us had played every single character.
By chance.
By chance. And then we just always made random matchups. Oh, what a summer that was. We used to leave school, because I was in year 11. No, I was in 6th form by that point. So I was allowed to leave school whenever I wanted. So we were like, well, we've got IT later on this afternoon, but we could just go round to Graham's house now and we could just put some tunes on and play Smash Brothers.
Isn't spare time wonderful?
It really was.
Where does that go?
It's why I didn't do that well in my A-levels.
Yeah, so Korn, of course. But weird that you sound like you went a bit harder than I did.
Yeah,
you went down the Slayer Pantera route.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
was Alien Ant Farm.
Oh, Alien Pant Farm. Okay, Alien Pant Farm is what we used to call them. I used to love Fear Factory, and we used to call them Fat Factory just because it was a funny way.
Funny, yeah.
Exactly. Megadeth, we used to call them Mega Dave because Dave Mustaine was the lead singer, so Mega Dave was a funnier name to call them.
Classic gangs.
Classic teenage years. But Korn, that was my jam in the mid '90s. Korn's first album in particular was my jam.
I made the mistake of buying a Korn album as a kid, which was a big thing because they, it was like 2-3 weeks of me paper rounding and saving up money, and because it was like £14, $13.99 is how much, $50 probably in America at the time, and I bought it off the strength of
you bought
Freak on a Leash.
Yeah. So you bought Follow the Leader.
I did not like any of the other songs on that album.
Follow the Leader is not a great album, no. Like Korn, it's you're looking at their first album, which wall to wall bangers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a flawless album. It's a follow up. It's not as great. Follow the Leader, I wasn't that keen on, but Issues, the album that came after that, was top notch, mate. Much better than Untouchables, the album that came after that, which was diabolically bad.
I had Untouchables as well.
Diabolically bad album.
Maybe I just got the bad Korn
You
albums.
lucked out with Korn, mate. You picked some bad albums there.
Hey, but we've been listening to Movies by Alien Ant Farm every morning.
That is a tune. That is a banging tune.
I think you need to go uppercase too. That is a mega tune.
That's a tune.
Okay, that is enough rambling. Do you subscribe on iTunes? This is where this all started.
You get more sort of chat like this.
I think we're probably on Stitcher by now as well, which is another thing that people do.
Acast.
Okay, here we go. Raw started off with Kurt coming out. I like the way how he came out and did the Greek chorus thing of just telling us everything that happened last week. Mm-hmm. Which usually is, I don't like, but I can see why they do it. But we just had the promo package saying exactly what Kurt said.
Yes.
So that was a bit repetitive.
Yeah.
But he was like, with all that, and there was a bad finish to the match of last week's main event. So the person facing Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam is
Braun.
Yeah. I want his Titantron to start with the time he came back with the ambulance. In fact, I want him to enter every time with an ambulance backing into the arena.
But I also miss...
And then he just does the arms up.
But I also miss proper Titantrons.
Oh, tell me about it.
With like videos and showing clips of them doing cool moves and stuff or doing poses.
I've been banging on about this forever.
Yeah.
Like how the video itself was incorporated into the entrance. Taz's everything. Bloop,
yeah.
bloop,
Jericho's.
Jericho's.
The pinball thing.
Yeah.
Break the one.
DX with the crossfader of the crowd.
Gave people epilepsy.
Yeah, when Undertaker was the first American Badass, and you effectively had the entirety of Limp Bizkit's Rolling play out without the Ben Stiller intro in the car. There's another one.
Do you remember?
No more Naughty's music.
Do you remember when he came back as American Badass and he had Rolling as his entrance music, and it was on the Smackdown game, and the big thing was like he comes down to the ring on the motorbike in the game.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's cool. And then one of the joke entrances that you could program to your custom character was they came down on a moped. Hilarious.
Nice. I'm going to move your mic somewhere because it is popping a little bit.
Oh, sorry, I do apologise.
I'm not touching you.
Yep,
I'm touching
that's fine.
the mics.
It's fine.
So yeah, where were we? Braun came out, and then he did the usual. Samoa Joe came out next. I thought Joe's promo was the best of the bunch. Mm-hmm. He's a scary man.
He certainly is.
And then Roman came out. You were impressed by Roman, you said. With the shut up line, I was a bit bored
I
by
thought
him.
shut up just really made me laugh. It came out afterwards because Roman's initial promo wasn't great because I don't know why. I'm going to move my microphone again because I feel like I'm breathing a bit too much into it. But
Heavy breathing.
I think that the problem with Roman's promos is that they write this stuff for him thinking like, I mean, this makes him sound like a badass. But when he says it, people are like, oh, this is why I don't like you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm a multi-time WWE champion. I retired The Undertaker. I was the... And I was like, yeah, dude, this is why I hate you, because you retired The Undertaker. You've headlined the last 3 WrestleManias. You're probably going to headline next year's as well, and I don't want to see that. But... when they announced the 4-way and then everyone was leaving but Braun was still like mouthing off, I just really laughed when Roman just went, dude, shut up, and then socked him in the face.
It just came across to me as annoying, but I could see how it could go either way. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did.
But then, yeah, you had this epic brawl.
What a brawl it was!
Which was a good brawl.
I mean, do we know the condition of that poor security lad that Braun threw into the into row Z? Like, good lord, he threw him hither and yonder.
So Braun had a security guard guy who's obviously a developmental wrestler of some sort, and throws him over the top rope. So he clears the top rope. And I thought, oh, there must be loads of people down there to catch him. Nope, he just landed on his shoulder.
Oh man,
brutal!
What a rough landing.
Yeah.
It's bumps like that as well that really they kind of downplay them when wrestlers do take bumps onto the ramp. So on Battleground, when they did like the double clothesline spot, JVL was like, my God, man, that's steel concrete. And I'm like, well, it's an LED board, so it probably doesn't hurt as much as you say it does.
It's not bamboo. It's not going to hurt that bad.
But when like that dude landed hard, I was like, oof, that was a hell of a bump to take.
Yeah, and just another excellent spot given to Braun. They building him so well.
Yeah.
And then everyone just kicked the hell out of each other.
Yeah, but the thing was like, because this was an amazing brawl and a brilliant way to like open up Raw. But I will say that the problem with this brawl being so good is that everything that came after that for the next hour and a half, nearly to 2 hours, was pretty naff. Not just in comparison, just... So, I mean, I really enjoyed the Balor Elias match, which we'll come on to shortly. But it's just like, that brawl was so great. I just kind of wish it didn't open the show.
You know, it would be brilliant on a 2-hour show.
Yes.
Because then you wouldn't have to... You'd only have a little bit of a dip before you got back into the main event storylines. Whereas this, you've essentially got an hour of filler for every Raw. Whereas in Cruiserweights, it's a bit of Nia Jax versus Emma. It's all these backstage bits.
Enzo and Cass doing what they did on the pay-per-view a couple of weeks ago.
So that's another downside of the 3-hour format. But we won't hark on about that. So yeah, it is Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. Fatal 4-way for SummerSlam's main event.
That should be a very fun match. A very physical match that will be.
Yeah, that's such a heavyweight clash.
Isn't it just? Like, that is a mean guy match.
Guy match.
They did an episode...
That's a stipulation.
It should
in
be.
A mean guy match.
They did on ECW, the WWE ECW, I think it was like a Halloween special. They did the Monster Mash Battle Royal. Where like they essentially like we're going to get the heaviest dudes all in one match doing a battle royal. So it was like Kane, Big Daddy V, the Great Khali, and someone else who I'm forgetting. And it was meant to be like, this is the
Big Show.
It might have been the Big Show, yeah. But like it's the super duper heavyweights doing a big mean guy match, but it was pretty naff. However, this is a super duper heavyweight mean guy match that I'm like, oh, yes, please. Salivating at the thought.
Because they're all pretty athletic. Braun, like, these are big guys who are very physically capable of doing kip-ups. Like, we've seen Braun Strowman do a kip-up, albeit assisted with pulling up his arm. Samoa Joe can leap up and do an Uranagi?
No, an Enziguri.
Enziguri. Iravu. I feel like Vic Reeves in Shooting Stars whenever I say something like that.
Yeah, Uranagi. He does do the Uranagi. That's like the...
the slam down.
The slam down, yeah. Bray does it as well.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, Roman Reigns is the smallest guy in that match. That's a big mean guy match.
That's a big mean guy match.
Can't wait for it. But like you said, things did... it wasn't bad. It was just because it was average... the averageness stuck out more because of that good opening.
Here's the thing, like, you recorded your Raw review on a Tuesday as you normally do, and I came into the studio, and the first thing you more or less said to me when you sat down was like, I think I gave Raw the wrong rating.
Yeah. Well, I'll come on to that at the end, because that's actually a good way to explain how I rate stuff.
Yeah.
Because, so the next match was Elias Samson beating Finn Balor in a no disqualification match after the stray guitar shot last week on Balor.
Absolutely.
They went a long time. They went 20 minutes.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this match was really good, but it was coming off that really hot brawl. So I don't feel like they had to work very hard to kind of like to match up to what had just come previously. But I enjoyed it, but I really like Finn Balor, and I've turned a corner on Elias Sampson like no end. Also, I discovered while doing covering you for the Raw reviews, things like that when you were away, that it's Samson, not Sampson.
Yeah, Samson.
I've called him Samson ever since he debuted.
Yeah.
Even when I was doing NXT reviews for Flicker and Myth back in the day, I think I was calling him Samson then.
No one called you out on it.
No one called me out on it.
Making fun behind your back, I'm afraid.
It's like when I first discovered that Bailey was spelled different to how I thought it was spelled.
Oh, you thought it was a Bailey,
yeah.
Yeah, so it did go long. But like you said, I really enjoy watching Finn Balor wrestle. He's like that Cesaro. I don't mind who he wrestles. I just want to watch him do it when he's not concussed. I think he goes down a bit when he's concussed. He can still wrestle a pretty good match.
I mean, let's not forget like SummerSlam last year when he like popped out his shoulder very early on in the match, and then he still worked a hell of a match against Rollins. And you don't realise how bad that injury is until he was telling the story in the 24 documentary they did, when he's at the top of the ramp and the cameraman shouts to him, "You need to lift the title up," and he literally goes, "I can't."
Did you ever hear the story? It was like I think it was Sami Zayn was backstage, and Zayn was like, "Oh my God, Balor's a genius." When he didn't raise the title, because that was the night the Universal title was unveiled, and it got so much heat from the crowd. Everyone was booing the design.
And it's because he did eventually,
looks like red flesh.
Because he eventually did lift it up, and Balor tells the story is that as I did it, my arm just went crunch, 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 crunch. Yeah. Oh.
But Zayn backstage was like, "Oh, he's a genius. He's not lifting it, so he doesn't take away. He doesn't want the heat to go to the belt.
It was a bit
That's real smart.
Was a heat magnet.
Yeah, but Balor was like, nope, just couldn't physically put it up over my head. So Bray Wyatt appeared out of nowhere, of course, perfectly legal in a no DQ match. It's a good way to have not definitive, it's a definitive winner within the confines of the rules of the match. Interference is fine. So Elias Sampson looks good. Finn Balor can transition onto his next feud
with Bray. Yeah,
this is the kind of booking I like.
And this elevates Finn back up now, because while it was really good to get kind of Sampson kind of up to that upper mid-card level, this puts Balor higher again, because Bray's just coming off his wins against Seth Rollins, who was, it's a former long WWE champion and United States champion, things like that. So now it feels like these are two like very upper echelon, feud for him now after Sampson.
It's a shame they can't come up with a better model of feud for Balor than just... Wyatt than just... I'm going to appear on the Titantron in your matches now.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to prove you're a phony.
That's what we've got for the next 4 weeks. That's what we've got to look forward to the next 4 weeks.
Okay. Do you want to hear a theory that I have?
Oh.
This is very out there. But Bray Wyatt...
Oh, my God.
The microphone's down. Bray Wyatt put out a tweet, I think it was last night, and it was just like, the best way to obey is to disobey. And it was a picture of the old Wyatt family, him, Luke, Eric, Braun, the good old family album. And everyone's like, oh my God, he's teasing a Wyatt family reunion. Now, that doesn't really work with where everyone is in the story. Of course, Braun's gone on to bigger things. But Luke and Eric haven't been doing anything on SmackDown at the moment.
Unless they've been attacking Breezango.
Unless it's been the Breezango thing. But maybe they're doing that because they're back under Bray's spell over at SummerSlam. Sorry, over at SmackDown. So the Wyatt family is now cross brands.
Excellent, love that.
Yeah. And if he's feuding with Balor, who is associated with Balor that recently has been working as a babyface team?
Galanderson. Too sweet.
And what's the next pay-per-view?
SummerSlam.
It's a dual brand pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Could you have a Wyatt family versus Balor Club feud? If it's working towards that,
I would be so down for that, especially because I was going to come on to the tag team situation. So I think that'd be a really good way to get Galanderson not so much away from the tag titles, but just put them into a different tag title or a tag feud rather.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really awesome for SummerSlam.
So that's how. That would be what I would like to happen. Maybe they've got something better in store. I don't want to see just a Bray Balor, the usual Bray feud thing going on, because then if you have the multi-man, the tag match, the 6-man tag match at SummerSlam, then you can build the feud through that, and you can actually build up to a Wyatt versus Balor singles feud as the blow-off rather than the first thing you do. Next up, we had Big Cass beating Enzo Amore.
This felt like it went on forever.
Yeah, and it's just the same. I think it was relatively short. I think it was like a 3-minute squash match. But because we've seen this for about 5 weeks now, Enzo coming out, cutting an impassioned promo, getting beaten by Big Cass, and then Big Show comes out and also gets beaten by Big Cass. I think that's where the tediousness comes
I was a bit tired from it. I have turned a corner on his entrance music, though.
Oh, yeah?
So that's at least one positive I could do. I did hate it. Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, and I thought was interesting as well, is that whether Cass can actually draw heat away from Enzo. So Meltzer's theory is that people are booing him at the moment because he's beating up Enzo, who's a very popular babyface, and they don't like Cass because he broke up the team. But what happens when Cass moves on to another feud away from Enzo? Is he still going to have that same heat?
Yeah, because I guess Enzo can fight Cass through proxy, through Big Show. So Enzo can be in Big Show's corner at SummerSlam. Enzo would preferably be very injured. That would get him out of why he can't fight. Yeah, but then like after that, where does Cass go? Can he still draw the heat? Hopefully he would have built up enough in that feud.
Hopefully.
Emma has been with the company 5 years as of last Monday, I believe.
Has it really been 5 years?
She posted and she was like, great way to celebrate my 5-year anniversary, sitting backstage at Raw because she wasn't featured. And she was obviously okay. That was approved, that tweet, because this week it's sort of built into her going up to Kurt Angle saying, I want a match. This should be about this lady. And
as well it should.
And Kurt booked her in a match against Nia Jax as punishment because Emma was like, well, maybe I might start dating Jason Jordan. Maybe that's a way to get ahead round here. And then Kurt just cock-blocked his own son and put her in a match against Nia Jax.
I mean, in all fairness to him, it worked wonders for Michelle McCool. You know, she didn't have to go on the road when she was dating The Undertaker.
Yeah. I mean, if I was Jason Jordan, I would be furious with my newfound part. It's like, you have no right to play the overprotective father right now. You didn't even know me until the other month. So,
did you see the skits with Chad Gable and Daniel Bryan
on Smacking Talk?
Smacking Talk.
Smacking Talk.
Yeah, Smacking Talk. Yeah, you were right the first time. You made me question it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he sent out a tweet joking that he was the father of Chad Gable, and then they did like a reveal on their tout exclusive Smacking Talk. Damn, it was funny. It was really good.
It's in today's news. If you wanna watch not watch it, but listen to me talk about it. You don't want to watch the actual funny thing and listen to me recap all the best jokes. That's what better place than the WrestleTalk news?
Absolutely, I touched your hand there.
Yeah. So one notable thing about this, apart from poor Emma, is Nia Jax's awesome new finisher.
Well, is this a new finisher?
I hope so.
I hope it is as well, because remember that was that period when she first debuted, she was doing a different finish every single week, because it just felt like she can't do any of these safely. And I would like to think, because this poor old Emma, she looked like she was absolutely crushed. It was wonderful. It was absolutely brilliant.
I like it when wrestling moves look real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's what would you call it? A somersault senton.
Yeah, it was a senton, basically.
Yeah,
somersault
someone
senton,
said it was a leg drop. It definitely wasn't a leg drop.
No.
If it was, she overshot massively because she landed fully on Emma on just her back. I think it looked great. I would love to see. What was her old finisher?
She used to do the running leg drop. She was doing the Samoan drop for a bit. I think she did a TKO for a while. She's had a lot of finishes, and every single one of them is. I've watched and gone like, oh dear, that didn't look like.
Well,
it was
this is
fun.
my favourite of all of them so far.
Yes.
So hopefully she keeps it. Next up, we had, because this was the first show in forever that didn't have a cruiserweight match.
Oh god, it didn't, did it?
This was a cruiserweight segment, but there was no 5-minute match.
Yeah.
I tell you, first the purple ring tape, and now the actual matches themselves.
Man alive.
Neville's just going to slowly fade like the Back to the Future photos. So we had Akira Tozawa arguing with Titus.
Brand. Oh, worldwide.
There we go. I think we should make that a thing.
That was
Titus.
Good. Worldwide.
Yeah. And they've got this dissension thing going on, which I thought was started off very poorly last week because it was like this mega beatdown angle in a 3-minute match. It's not as vicious. You haven't got enough time to tell that story, so it didn't come off well. However, this follow-up, if you ignore how it started, was very well played out. Titus
worldwide
was trying to convince Akira
I can't
not...
believe you gave me that bit. YouTube doesn't like me enough as it is. Now you've given me the annoying bit.
I'm getting you over. I'm giving you something. I'm working with the young guys. So Titus doesn't want Akira to wrestle because he's genuinely concerned about his client. Akira, fighting spirit of the Japanese, he wants to go out and fight. So both guys, you can see where they're coming from, which is nice. Akira goes out there. I think he slaps Titus at one point. Like, let me fight. Neville comes out. They have a confrontation. So that feud doesn't seem to be done. But then Araya Davari, of all people, the guy who beat down Akira Tozawa last week, is the chap who runs down and lays them both out.
I was really pleased to see that, actually. It's good to kind of get some fresh faces in the cruiserweights division, and I really like that they're not just doing another one-on-one feud and building it as a three-way feud instead, because it's something a bit different for the cruiserweights.
Yeah, you need more multi-person matches in WWE right now.
I was just about to say the downside of that is that we don't need any more multi-person matches.
Hey, but if anyone can pull off really good multi-person matches, it's the cruiserweights.
Absolutely.
Like, some of the best cruiserweight matches in WWE have been those 5-person elimination matches for the number one contender spots.
Featuring Austin Aries.
One of them was featuring Austin Aries. I preferred the previous one. I think it was the one before Fastlane that Jack Gallagher won.
Yes, that was really good, yeah.
Sorry.
He did the Mary Poppins spot off the top, yeah.
That was such a good match. So,
and I really wish that... I'm going to be beating a drum that's been beaten well hard by this point, to use a terrible turn of phrase. Just use the cruiserweights better. Like, the best thing about the cruiserweights, and the way that WCW used to use them, was that they would open the show and they would do some big, high-flying, exciting stuff, and the crowd would be like, oh, wow, yeah, now we're pumped up. And then it's brilliant, because then you just, like, they're, in theory, then hot for the rest of the night, as opposed to, I don't know, cutting a 20-minute promo.
WWE, it's easy. Just use cruiserweights better.
That's all I'm asking.
That's what Luke's saying.
I mean, people keep saying in the comment section, like, you guys need to be commentating on SmackDown or, like, on the writing team. Man, if I was on the writing team, that'd be the first thing I'd have said. Like, hey, Vince, I don't know if you've thought about this. Have you thought about using the cruiserweights better?
Hey, kid, you got a point here. Hey, pal.
This kid's got moxie. Get me Kevin Dunn in here.
I need to come up. I haven't come up with a wrestle sketch concept yet for this week's episode. I'm trying to. It's obviously going to be something about the sun. I haven't done anything about the illegitimate son story.
Okay, yeah.
Great Balls of Fire has passed. I don't know what it's going to be yet. But back to the cruiserweights. Araya Davari. That's great, but you've got Cedric Alexander, you've got Rich Swann.
Yeah, no, but the problem is though they're all well, apart from Noam Dar, they're all Americans, so they can't hate America.
That's a good
Whereas
point.
Araya Davari, he can hate America. He was the one who I was trying to think of last week. We were joking about how every heel on SmackDown hates America. Kevin Owens, Rusev, and Jinder. And I said, there was one on Raw as well, but I couldn't think who it was. It was Davari, because he's cutting promos about how his Olympians are better than American ones.
And of course, Neville is from Middle Earth. Next up, we have Bayley.
Bless him.
Next up, we have Bayley beating Sasha Banks
My girl Bayley.
in a cracking match. I really enjoyed this.
Of course, it would be. I mean, these two work very, very well together. They're both excellent. And my girl won.
There were two backstage segments this week that had fantastic lines. We'll come on to the best one later in the main event. But here, Sasha Banks was so preoccupied with beating Alexa Bliss because of what Bliss had said earlier. She's like, I can't wait to just get my hands on Bliss at SummerSlam and beat her up and win the title. And Bayley's standing right next to her. They're friends. And Bayley just goes, you got to beat me first. And that was a nice story. And then the actual match itself, they were quite hesitant. They were having a respectful match. And then I think Sasha did a wicked arm twist into the turnbuckle on Bayley. And Bayley just came up, looked at her, and then they started trading fists real hard. That was nice.
Good match.
And it was a good match overall. Told a good story within the action of the match, which is what I like in wrestling. Don't like Sasha's frog splash though.
Oh God, look! I mean, I compared it to CM Punk's diving elbow as a tribute to Randy Savage. This is an awful tribute to Eddie Guerrero. That is an ugly-looking frog splash. Considering as well that Kevin Owens does one on SmackDown and does it so much better.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I just.
Also, it just landed right on her knees.
Yeah. It's not even. It's like I'm just gonna do a weak old lady crunch in midair.
Just worry about her
It's
knees,
not hitting
man.
anything.
Worry about her knees.
But Bayley rolled that through. I'm not sure how you. It's not like she took the momentum and rolled it through.
But it's a bit
because it's like Sasha landed and then Bayley just turned. But like Bayley, you took all the impact there.
Have you never seen that before? Rob Van Dam got pinned in TNA from hitting his frog splash. He hit the frog splash. Can you remember like RVD hits it and then like sells it a little bit? He bounces off and then he goes like,
that.
"Ooh, it's a great bit of selling." I remember it was like a multi-person match. Then someone ran in, didn't pin the person he'd hit, pinned Rob Van Dam because he was selling his own frog splash that he just hit.
That's weak.
And like, you haven't seen Great Balls, have you? Because you were
Still
away.
No, I haven't caught up with that.
Jeff Hardy was pinned by doing a swanton. He did a swanton on either Sheamus or Cesaro, and then either Sheamus or Cesaro rolled him up afterwards and pinned him.
That's no good.
No, it's not.
I love the way Rob Van Dam, even if he won, he'd still, with his arm raised, he'd still be selling the core from the frog splash.
During my 2001 rewatches that I've been doing, so the Invasion is full on now. They've just had the Invasion pay-per-view because I've been a little bit behind on watching them, so I'm kind of getting back into it now. RVD is being featured every single week on Raw in the opening match as well, defending his hardcore title, and the amount they're putting him over. Like even Jim Ross, who's there being like, I hate the Alliance, I think the Alliance are stupid, I think WCW sucks. He's like, I think this Rob Van Dam kid's got a lot of talent. I wish he was over here in the WWE where the cool kids are.
Well, he's so undeniably good. Some people just don't really work as heels. So it's nice that they were smart enough to recognise that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Speaking of some people, maybe they just don't fit the babyface mold. Sasha Banks, I think this is the second time recently that she's lost, and the way Banks was there afterwards when Bayley pinned her, she didn't get angry. She was just sitting there like, I can see that playing into a heel turn, hopefully at SummerSlam.
Yes.
Banks on Bayley.
I agree.
It's got to come.
It's been coming since WrestleMania, so it's about time. She's so much better as a heel than she is a babyface.
Yeah, the boss. Oh, you're a boss. Yeah, that's a heel gimmick, what you've got right now. That's $1 million
also like the
Ted DiBiase
if you're going to do a Banks Bayley feud, Banks being the heel is so much better against Bayley. It's going to work really well.
Jason Jordan beat Kurt Hawkins.
Now Kurt Angle in his promo earlier in the night, the backstage one he did when he was talking about how great his son is, when Emma came out to him, said like, I'm going to give Jason Jordan his first Raw match, and it's going to be putting him against some real competition. That competition is Kurt Hawkins. And I was like, I mean, I guess that's what Kurt Hawkins' role is to be a job guy and try and like help get guys over. But if I'm the GM and I want to give my son some real competition, I'm not putting him against Kurt Hawkins, whose gimmick is I lose.
Yeah, I'm the star maker. I lose to people and then they're more famous. I am the star maker. So it's, I'm not going to show preferential treatment to my newfound son.
Yep.
Here's a really easy match. But I really enjoyed this match because Jordan wrestled not like the rest of the roster. He really had that amateur wrestling style working through the match. And I just like seeing that. I love it when Kurt Angle does it.
I agree. And I just hope that he is talented enough, which I think he is because he's a super talented wrestler and I think he's going to be really good. But I just hope that he's got enough charisma and moxie about him that he can overcome this hindrance of an Angle.
Yeah, it'd be
no
interesting
pun intended.
to see. Kurt was. I liked how they cut to backstage and Kurt's watching
properly on a TV as well,
because that
he
brings
was face onto it.
It brings so much more. It's a whole new dynamic to the match. You've got someone watching, and you've got their emotions as well playing into the match itself. It does heighten it when it's done correctly, and I thought this was a good example of that. And like you said, he was pretty much front on. That's how you watch a telly, people in WWE, which is a theme that continued throughout the night because Sheamus and Cesaro were also backstage scouting competition in the tag division.
Love that they were wearing their sunglasses as well.
Yeah. The first up was Revival beating Galanderson, only off the back of a Hardy Boys distraction, which really, you thought that would advantage Galanderson. Galanderson were weirdly working babyface here.
Well, which they have been on main events, working against the Revival.
Yeah, but no one cares about main events.
I was going to say, main event is not canon.
Yeah, this is the first time it's happened on real WWE continuity. And they walk down, interrupting the Revival's heel promo. And what did they say? Oh, yeah, all the we know this is a good brother town here in, I think it was Washington, D.C.
And my other favourite line was just like, you claim you're top guys, but all I see is top. nerds.
I just love hearing him say it. Nerds.
But where was Anderson's laugh? I need more of that in my life. It's so good.
They could be a really good comedy kind of babyface kind of heel tag team.
At the same time, like they're comedy goofy acts because they call people nerds, and you got Anderson going like, but they're also badasses in the ring, and they're like, and that's what the problem is. You like comedy, funny don't make money. But if you can be a badass at the same time, then it works fine. The Rock was a classic example of that. Rock was funny, but in the ring, the comedy stopped and the badassery began.
See, I see Edge and Christian, a little bit of Edge and Christian in their act.
Absolutely.
I would love for them to really get a push. Because when they first debuted last year, they were pretty much just killers. They didn't have a comedic slang to it, and it was all about being mean and making green. But now I think they've got it now. If they can, if WWE can just bring that through more and develop it.
But what's going to happen if they do the club and then Balor comes in? Is he going to start calling people nerds? I think you're a nerd, you.
Well, that's the point of having a faction round Balor, so he doesn't talk. So this match, so Revival beat Galanderson when the Hardy Boys came out. And Galanderson were a little bit distracted, so Revival rolled them up. But Hardys are feuding with Revival. I don't mind. I like everyone hating each other, so that's not too bad. And then in the main event, Shimaro was still watching. And at first I thought, God, are they giving like the Miz Taraj, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel a push potentially for the tag team titles? It took me until this morning when I'm writing the notes to think, maybe they're building a Shield reunion at SummerSlam.
That's what I figured they're doing, because I'm hoping you're right in that Galanderson are going to move away from this Hardy's Revival thing to go work with Balor, with the Wyatts. That would be so awesome. Then you can have the Revival and the Hardys as their little mini feud. And then, you move, because it felt like that Seth and Dean were moving away from the Miz, because Dean pinned him clean as a sheet. And it was Miz they pinned. You thought they put the Miz Taraj in there to take the pinfall, but Miz took the pinfall.
3 guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can move them on, and you could because what I picture now, and this is kind of like, this is fantasy booking, not fantasy booking warfare. We're not at war with each other here.
We're collaborating.
Because the key for this, we could talk about the promo in a minute, but the key for me at the moment of this was when they won, and Dean was celebrating, and he was a madman celebrating. I've mostly been into Dean in ages, and he hugged Seth Rollins, and Rollins went to go sort of hug him back, and he just moved away and he rolled out of him, but Rollins went to do the fist bump. And he just rolled out the ring and just moved away. My dream is that if they do announce they're going to have this match at SummerSlam, it's going to be Rollins and Ambrose against Shimaro. That every week it's going to be about the build to the fist bump.
Yeah.
And then on the final week, the go home show, that's your closing moment, is that he finally does the fist bump and the Shield are united. And now they're a united force going against Shimaro. God, that would be great.
That'd be nice.
What a moment that will be.
What a gesture as well.
Yeah.
Just it all boils down to that simple act. It's not complicated. Hey, WWE, just do it better.
Just use the cruiserweights better. So let's talk about that promo.
Okay, well,
this backstage segment.
I think this is the best storyline in WWE right now.
Who'd have thought, like 3 weeks ago, that Dean Ambrose would be involved in the best storyline in WWE right now?
He just needed to get, he's still with Miz, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's Seth Rollins and Dean are backstage in the locker room, and Seth's going I think we need to prepare more. We need a strategy. We're 2 guys. We're going up against 3.
I'm the architect.
Yeah, I'm the architect. We've got 3 guys to worry about. Dean looks at him and says, "You've got 3 guys to worry about. I've got 4." In reference to Seth betraying him all those years ago, it's still fresh in Dean's mind, as it would be. And Seth has only just since WrestleMania, it's only a couple of months ago, really, that he started being the fully repentant, I'm sorry. He only properly apologised for turning on the Shield like a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dean is totally understandable. And it's I love it when you can see all sides, like everyone's motivations. I can empathise with the good guy. I can empathise with the bad guy. But overall, morality-wise, the good guy should win. It's the same here, where I can totally see why Dean doesn't want to just immediately make up with Seth.
Yeah.
And Seth is playing it perfectly. He's like, I'm here when you need me. I know I did wrong.
But I want to prove myself.
Yeah.
And show that we can be friends again.
Yeah, I'm not going to rush it. I'm just going to stand here, and this is my penance.
Spoilers, it's the end of Glow.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So and it's been told so acutely. It's a very very uncharacteristically subtle storyline. The WWE are doing it right now. They're pacing it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope they continue that on through to SummerSlam.
As do I. That'd be great.
Chris Jericho returned. Who saw that coming?
No one, apparently.
Yeah, that wasn't even in any rumours.
No.
I didn't see. Usually you get, oh, look who I just saw in the airport. Or
Yeah.
look who I just saw drive into the arena. None of that.
None of that. And, we came into the studio this morning to talk about Smacky D, as we often do on a Wednesday. And we were talking about this supposed botched finish at Battleground between Owens and Styles. That Owens wasn't supposed to win, and there's a miscommunication, and that's why Owens won, which is why the finish seemed a bit weird. But I felt that as soon as Jericho came out, I was like, oh, that's why Owens won. Because you need Owens as champion to set up the Jericho surprise return.
Yeah,
that
maybe the Jericho deal to come back only happened on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what I figured. Something like that.
It's very confusing. Yeah, so what happened? Owens comes out. He says, I'm going to start up the Open Challenge next week.
What a
which got
heel.
some good heat from the crowd. AJ came out and said, I want my rematch. Owens like, no, you're not. And then, Jericho's music hit.
Yeah.
Break the walls down.
Owens sold it so well. Owens was the MVP of this whole show. His facial reactions, and in the main event as well, was absolutely awesome. He sold Jericho's return brilliantly. I loved it.
Yeah, I wasn't. It's going to become apparent. I wasn't that into this episode. I think I'm in the minority here.
You are. I think you are.
From what I've read, everyone really likes it.
I thought this show was rad.
So Jericho comes back. He does the list gimmick. McMahon comes out. We're not going to have a match between you three for WrestleMania or SummerSlam. We're going to have it right here tonight in
Phoenix.
Georgia. No, it was Flair Country somewhere.
Was it?
Yeah, because Charlotte did the strut and everyone.
But she always does
bonkers.
that.
Yeah, but it was more than usual. They put it over. They it's in Flair Country. Anyway, wherever it was. So, I just thought, of all the great Chris Jericho returns and debuts, I think of the Y2J debut countdown in the late 90s. I think of the 2013 Royal Rumble.
I was about to say the Royal Rumble was my favourite. Yeah,
I was in.
It was number 2.
Yeah, against Dolph Ziggler. It's fantastic. This was. He just comes out in the opening segment to interrupt a promo.
But it was, and you'd have thought as well that he'd have been full of more piss and vinegar, considering what Owens did to him after Extreme Rules.
Yes.
Yeah. So you'd have thought he'd have been a bit more angry about that whole thing. But I really liked the surprise nature of it. You don't often get surprises in WWE. It's like I did a cut angle there, WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But like Khali at Battlegrounds. Where I was like, oh my god, Carly's back. And no one had been reporting that Carly was going to come back. I just like it when you get surprises that haven't been reported or rumoured. A nice surprise.
So I think a surprise is a very cheap emotion.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, but there's nothing really behind this surprise for me. It is just a surprise. It is just a pop.
I'm not saying this is a classic Jericho surprise.
Yeah.
And I think they probably should have done it better. WWE just do things better. But at the same time, it was a nice surprise, and it was a nice opening for the show. I enjoyed it.
I just wasn't hot on it. And next up we had Shinsuke Nakamura beating Baron Corbin clean.
Why didn't they have this match at the pay-per-view? Because the match they had at the pay-per-view was dog poop awful. But this was grand.
It was slightly better, I thought.
It was much better compared to the pay-per-view outing. It was a lot harder. Bearing in mind, like the match they had on Sunday was nothing more than just a load of bear hugs and rest holds, and the crowd were just dead throughout. There was one rest hold spot during the commercial break, but the rest of it was just hard-hitting action, and I was down for that.
Maybe I was in a bad mood this morning.
Maybe you were.
But I wasn't...
Was it because you stepped in dog poop yesterday and that's just soured your mood now?
That was so annoying. That was so annoying. Like, that's something you do as a kid, isn't it?
Yeah.
I stepped in dog poop. But no, I was walking around in the park and stepped in dog poop. And then I was like, on my new shoes that I bought on Saturday. So that was a weird thing to happen.
Yeah, maybe that was just playing on your mind too much.
I don't know, because I was up for SmackDown. I just think sometimes when things lose favour for me, it takes a while to earn back that trust. And SmackDown has been so below average. Like, not awful. It hasn't been awful. It's just been below average. It felt like spasms of life in a weird flinging out way that didn't have much thought behind it. Corbin lost clean, which is good because Nakamura has a big match next week that we'll come on to. But it's just the standard Corbin is the Money in the Bank briefcase winner, so we'll just beat him all the time now.
Beat him like a drum because he's got the... Also, so we got a couple of messages yesterday about Plumpy saying Money in the Bank lunchbox on his review. And I think I know what... I think that's a parody, because apparently a banned term in WWE now is Money in the Bank briefcase.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, they can only say contract. So briefcase is the term because they don't want briefcase to be like the desired thing, because no one really wants a briefcase. They want what's inside the briefcase.
It's a crazy world.
But
yeah, that wasn't anything.
No.
The Charlotte and Becky Lynch match against Tamina and Lana was next. Another match I was very unimpressed with.
Well, as soon as Charlotte came out, I think before they'd even announced tag match, I was like, I'm going to bet this is a tag match with Becky Lynch. Because I think this is building towards a actually, maybe this isn't building towards a Becky-Charlotte feud. But I tell you what was interesting about this match. There was a couple of lines of commentary that suddenly started to make this Tamina-Lana pairing make sense.
Oh, yeah?
So, the Insider, Byron Saxton, probably the worst nickname that a man has ever been given ever, because he's Insider nothing. He said, I saw them eating lunch, and it looked like neither of them wanted to be there, but they were forced to be there. And there were a couple of lines of dialogue about how it feels like someone is paying Tamina to be protective of Lana.
Oh.
And that's why they have this dynamic in this relationship. So when Lana got pinned, Tamina was just like, why have I been saddled with you? Of all people, why have I been saddled with you?
Paying a little bit of money to help Lana?
It could be, I don't know. But that was like what was put over on commentary. So all of a sudden, I'm now... Because this Tamina-Lana pairing hasn't made sense for weeks on end. It's just been... It was kind of just sort of thrown together, and it didn't really pay off in any way. But all of a sudden now, it feels like, oh, this could be an interesting story. A storyline on SmackDown.
I don't know about it. I'm really not into it. Especially with all the Lana Naomi title shots. I don't see where it's going, and where I can't see any direction that it can go in that isn't rubbish. And Tamina isn't a good performer.
No, she was bad on Sunday, but yeah, she was bad in this match as well.
And Lana,
timing's awful.
Yeah, Lana is not a good wrestler. She looked really out of place on Sunday in Sunday's match. And I just don't really get behind they're rubbish, but they're trying. I mean, I guess there's ways for it to be done, like Mikey Whipwreck in ECW, but this is not it.
Can I ask a bigger talking point about this match?
Yeah?
What is this thing that Charlotte and Becky do?
Oh, this tea thing.
The tea thing, yeah. What is that?
I think it's a reference to something. Just, we're just drinking tea, maybe it's tea time with Santino. I don't know. That great segment from all those years ago. Before Becky Lynch came out, I was like, Charlotte is smiling way too much here. Did you see how much she was smiling?
I did not see how much she was
smiling.
And
Becky Lynch came out. And
I saw her smile then.
And she's doing like a thing, and it cuts to Charlotte, and Charlotte is smiling way too hard. And I was like, she's turning heel.
Well, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
I figured that's where this direction is going. Charlotte is mirroring the Sasha Bayley feud on Raw. That Charlotte is going to turn heel on Becky Lynch. Or actually, I would much rather Becky Lynch turn heel on Charlotte and change up that dynamic, which I sort of mildly fantasy booked on Monday's video. So yeah, I mean that's the direction I'd like to go. But I'd like to see those two face off at SummerSlam.
So really, nothing happened in the bit that's interesting, and the bit that's rubbish, something kind of happened.
Sort of, yeah.
Great. Jinder Mahal came out to demand a SummerSlam opponent.
He came out to cut his Jinder Mahal promo of the week.
I want to find out who my SummerSlam
I want to find out who my SummerSlam opponent is.
He's like... Some people can talk low and get away with it. Chris Jericho, Jake the Snake Roberts. It's a way to draw people in so everyone gets quiet and they focus on what you're saying. Problem is the content of what you say has to be really, really good, and your delivery has to be good as well, and sort of engaging. Jinder is just saying the things that he's been given to tell. I'm now going to speak to the people in my own language in the exact same way, but just in a different language.
He's so robotronic with his delivery. And it's such a shame as well, because when he made his entrance, it's sometimes, week by week this happens, he makes his entrance and I'm like, he looks great. Like, he looks great. His entrance looks awesome, especially when he's got the Singh brothers flanking him. I was like, he looks like a champion. I know he was a jobber 6 months ago, but he looks great, and he looks great in a suit, and he looks awesome. Then he starts cutting a pro, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're Jinder Mahal. I forgot about that. He's fine on the mic. It's just very robotronic, and it's just not very interesting.
I read an interview with him in an Indian, like on an Indian website. I think it was the Hindustan Times, and he was talking about how he used to be very shy at public speaking. He used to hate cutting promos, but now he's worked on it, and he's gone into where he is today. And I just thought, that fear still shows. There's no confidence in your delivery. You really, like you said, you're robotic. It's a shame. So John Cena comes out and he's like, I'm American. I want the match.
You're not.
Yeah, and Daniel Bryan was like, whoa.
And actually, this is the other thing I really liked about this segment as well, because John Cena came out and he's just like, I'm John Cena and I'm going to be the record-breaking 17-time world champion, yada, yada, yada. And then as soon as he announced it and John Cena's music hit, I was like, I thought SmackDown was the land of opportunity where you're meant to earn your spot. How can John Cena just come out and demand these matches? And then Daniel Bryan came out and essentially said what I was thinking and said, like, you've got to earn your matches or earn these titles.
Unless you're Lana.
Unless you're Lana. But then he announced a match for next week.
Yeah, so this is... so, like, with the Chris Jericho return and this, it's just things that are happening that I don't like the sound of. So, John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the number one contendership for Jinder Mahal's title at SummerSlam.
I mean, imagine just thinking, like, just doing that match for next week. Like, I'm guessing the match isn't going to go ahead.
That's what I'm thinking. Baron Corbin runs in.
But then I don't want the Nakamura-Baron Corbin feud to
exactly,
continue.
Yeah.
What I would rather is actually them to... Because my dream scenario for SummerSlam is Cena Nakamura in a one-on-one match. I think that would be an awesome stage to do it on. Or, Cena Jinder, but then where'd you put Nak? But I don't want to see Nakamura facing off against Baron Corbin anymore. As much as I enjoyed their match they had on this week's show.
You've seen it?
I've seen it now.
Yeah.
I've seen Nakamura win, so I don't really need to see them face off again. So, yeah, I'd rather just see Cena Nakamura as like a dream match, for SummerSlam, rather than them just do it for free on SmackDown next week.
With a 1 week build.
It's
really endemic.
It's not going ahead. It can't go ahead.
What? I'm not that confident. I think this is easily something that could go ahead. Or maybe Nakamura wins. But still, you've given away what should be a really big match. I hate it, and it's endemic of WWE's logic of booking, where we're going to build to a match by having that match.
Yeah.
So John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura will lead to John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Or, the other way of doing that, which I prefer, is John Cena's winning loads of matches. Shinsuke Nakamura's winning loads of matches. Now they must collide.
Yeah. So this is what is described as the network era of WWE, where you don't build towards pay-per-view matches or pay-per-view encounters because there's no pay-per-view business because everything's on the network. However, my counter-argument to that would be, why don't you treat the network era the same as you did the pay-per-view era? Make people build up to want to buy the network and watch these matches. Surely that's the aim. That's why we're doing all this, is so people buy the goddamn network and give WWE $10 a month, or £10, like I do every month, because I want to see these matches. Yeah. I don't understand the mentality of just it's on the network now, so we don't have to build to anything. Yes, you do. You have to make people buy the damn thing.
I completely agree. Sami Zayn and Ty Dillinger took on Aiden English and Mike Kanellis next.
Poor old Mike Kanellis.
Yeah, because Sami Zayn, Sami Zayn pinned Mike Kanellis again after Battleground with a haluva kick.
Here's a funny
5 minutes.
Here's a funny one for you. So I did note this on the old Twitter machine as well. This match was advertised as it's a revenge match. because Ty got beat by Aiden English on the Battleground pre-show, so now he was looking to get his revenge. And in the build-up of Sami Zayn coming out, they showed Mike and Maria smashing a vase over his head, and then Mike pinning him on the following week on SmackDown. And they never made mention that Sami beat him at Battleground. And then when he pinned Mike Kanellis, it was like, they literally said, Sami Zayn gets his revenge. I was like, are we supposed to forget that he got his revenge 2 days ago?
Maybe WWE thought Battleground was so bad, they're just going to erase that from continuity as
No,
well.
they probably looked at the network numbers and be like, well, no one really watched this show, did they? People probably watched 205 Live more.
That as well. It's just, when I watched this, I thought, this feels like when we've got to get all the women on the show, so let's book them in a tag match.
Yeah.
It's the same with the undercard division. And Sami Zayn and Ty are down there. So, Ty, fine, but Sami Zayn could be so much more. Mike Kanellis should not be this low down 3 weeks into his in-ring career.
And this is going to
WWE career.
This is going to kill him dead as well. Like this Sami feud, if it continues the way it's going, then Mike Kanellis will be nothing but a joke, and then he'll never get any higher than he currently is, and he'll just end up as like the Luke Harpers and the Eric Rowans of this world, and barely on TV.
Exactly.
Which is a shame.
So what's the point of bringing him in?
What's the point of bringing him in? And his tights are so great.
And his music.
And his music's awesome.
And he's got a good act. Like, that is it's a limiting act, but it's a solid act.
Solid act. I touched your hand again.
So they could do, I don't know.
Yeah.
New Day, they were going to come out for their tag team title celebration. We got the, don't you dare be sour. But then the mic cut out. It sounded like it dropped to the floor. And it's the Usos beating up the New Day backstage. They're thrown into the arena on the top of the entrance ramp.
What, did you see the way they threw Kofi into the LED board? Holy camole! Like, he went right into the edge of it. It was terrifying.
This was good. I like this bit. But then, like with many of the things on here on this episode of SmackDown, I just thought we're getting more matches between, which I like this feud, but I can't see the next 4 weeks to SummerSlam being anything but Jay versus Kofi.
Well, okay.
Woods versus Jimmy.
As long as they don't just... Because here's the thing as well. What made me laugh about the New Day Usos match at Battleground was like, this feud has been really hot. It's been really heated. Here's that segment they did 3 weeks ago. And you're like, that was the culmination of their feud. And then you kind of treaded water until you got to the pay-per-view. What I hope is that they learn from that. That's a lot to ask. But they don't just do what you said then, just do Woods versus Jimmy, Kofi versus Jay, and then just keep sort of doing various different variations of that until you get to SummerSlam. I'd like to see them do more angles, more storyline, more stuff like this.
Yeah, and hopefully a ladder match at SummerSlam. I want to see those two teams go at it there. I do like the feud. I don't think they're going to book the build nicely, so I'm not excited about it. And then the main event was a very good main event between AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, and Kevin Owens. Your thoughts on this match?
Great match. Really enjoyed it. Really, really great main event. I thought it was a better main event than what Raw did.
So this is Grumpy Ollie coming out again.
It is Grumpy Ollie.
It was a good match. I enjoyed it. But there were 2 spots.
Was there something wrong with your cereal this morning when you were watching?
I don't eat cereal in the morning. That's a Saturday morning New Japan thing.
What do you eat for the morning when you're watching WWE?
Well, I have the same breakfast every morning, which is mackerel in tomato and scrambled eggs.
Breakfast?
A bit of olive oil on that. Fish for breakfast is a common thing.
Is it?
Yes, but the sugar industry has told you that cereal's okay.
Well, I have Weetabix.
There you go.
Is there sugar in Weetabix?
I'm pretty sure there's probably a lot of sugar and stuff in there.
Yeah, there might be. I have it with raisins. And soy milk. Sometimes cashew milk if I'm feeling fruity.
Oh, feeling... Or not fruity, feeling legoomy. So my little bugbears with this, of course the ending and how this makes, that marred it the most for me. But as I'm watching it, there was a bit when Styles came in, Chris Jericho hit the code breaker, first code breaker of the match, goes for the pin, 1, 2, kick out. I'm like, oh, well, you just... I don't know why it got to me, but
Why did that get to you? That happens a lot.
Code breaker, that's his finisher. Well, look, okay, here's another way of doing it, which protects it. So, AJ Styles comes in, code breaker, it was very near the ropes. AJ Styles just falls out the ring. And then you can have that brilliant shot of Jericho going, no!
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like, I'm just going to go for the pin. Why not make that? You've got more drama, and you protect that finisher. Then, the actual finish of the match, Kevin Owens pop-up powerbomb, Jericho kicks out at 2, for no other reason than let's get a little bit of a pop. And then Owens climbs up to the top, frog splash, and that's what finishes off Jericho. Why not have the frog splash kick out at 2, then the pop-up powerbomb? That puts up the pop-up powerbomb over more because there's a lot of time that passes between that move being hit and the actual pin being made because of the scuffle between Styles and Owens. Maybe I'm in a bad mood.
I think you're in a bad mood. I'm not saying you're wrong, because what you just said then is completely right.
Yeah.
However, I really enjoyed the match.
I mean, it was a good match. I don't know. Like, I've just watched a lot of New Japan this week.
I think, okay, there's your problem there, right there.
That's my problem. My standards have been raised.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just...
It's a common occurrence.
Yeah, and then the actual finish of the match, which was AJ winning again after... So it's a 2-day title reign for Kevin Owens.
His new Face of America gimmick continues to be rubbish.
His third reign in 4 months is now over. And it's going to be Kevin Owens and AJ Styles next week. And it's that classic, well done WWE. You've made me not care about Owens and AJ Styles.
Can I give you my predictions of where this is heading? I think at SummerSlam it's going to be either AJ Nakamura, which was the tease they did last week, or it will be AJ Chris Jericho for the United States Championship, and Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. Because Owens had a backstage segment with Shane where he was like, I don't like you, you don't like me, I don't think you should put me in this match, it's ridiculous for you to put me in this match where I could lose my title. And then after the match, after he lost, he said, this isn't fair, you winning is not fair, Shane McMahon putting me in this match is not fair. I wonder if they're going to do the fantasy booking you and I did for AJ versus Shane, but actually now do it with with Shane and Kevin Owens. Because
I can't see that happening at SummerSlam.
I can see it happening at SummerSlam. SummerSlam's your big, like one of your big marquees, your big four. If anything, it's the third biggest event of the year after WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. So you want to be getting your key players on that, and when one of your big talents you've got there, one of your big names to put on the poster is Shane McMahon. You've got to give Shane his featured match.
He better do a helicopter spot.
So I can almost see them building towards Owens versus Shane at SummerSlam. That's my prediction.
I just overall I can see why people like SmackDown because of those newsworthy moments, and you're perfectly entitled to your opinion, so I hope that you allow me mine.
No.
I disagree with all the major decisions and the direction it seems to be going, and I'm not excited about most things on SmackDown right now. So I've probably given away how I feel who won the war this week. I'm just going to say now, I thought Raw was the better show. What about you, Luke?
Okay, so I thought Raw had a great opening, and it had a very good main event, and I enjoyed Bayley and Sasha Banks. But
and a great storyline with Ambrose and Rollins weaving through.
It was in 2 segments.
Through.
It was not really weaving through. It was 2 segments.
Sheamus and Cesaro watching from backstage.
I will agree that I do think that the Seth Dean stuff is the best stuff that's going on in WWE right now, in WWE, as Kurt Angle would say. I do agree with that, but I thought there was almost too much of a lull in this week's Raw. There was like a good hour and a half where nothing was happening.
Yeah. And
I switched off and I completely turned off it. However, with SmackDown, I was totally into this week's SmackDown, so I'm actually going to go Smacky D. I really, really enjoyed it.
I think I mentioned something earlier on that I never followed up on, and that's how I rate the shows. Because I gave this week's Raw a core in my 4-minute review, and I said to you, as soon as I finished it, I was like, you know what? I don't think that was a core, because really, that's, like you said, there was an hour and a bit lull there in the middle.
There was 2 good segments on the show,
and really, that should be the standard quality of a Raw episode. Anything above that is core. So really, that would make that Raw average. You know, that's what you should. That quality of episode should be what you expect from Monday Night Raw. If it was a 2-hour show, fantastic. But it would still be an average. But SmackDown this week, I just disagreed with the decisions, so I had that at Ellsworthy.
Which is absolutely fine. And I, as I said, you're completely entitled to your incorrect opinion. But for me, with SmackDown, it's because it's been so bad. Not bad, but middling to average over the last what feels like a couple of months, where it's just been
weeks.
Is
Months, I guess. Since
yeah,
the Superstar Shake-Up.
Since the Superstar Shake-Up, every show has just felt the same, which has just been random matches, a couple of promos, random matches. At least here, I felt like, oh, okay, storylines are happening. There are teasers of future storylines. This is a good, almost like a good reset show. And I think that now we're in a position where we can actually start building on some things, creating some storylines, building some feuds. And that's exciting. And that's probably why I think I'm going with SmackDown. And perhaps that's why I am rating SmackDown higher than it deserves to be. Perhaps that is the reason why. But I just really enjoyed this week's show. There wasn't a moment where I was like, I'm ready to switch off now, which I did have on Raw.
Just those storylines and angles that they're building and starting, I don't think are very good.
No,
or leave a lot on the table.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all we've got time for. What do you think? Who do you think won Raw or SmackDown? Should we get a poll up? Let's put a poll up for it. So vote in the poll, and maybe we'll reveal the results. I don't know when. So, but do vote.
Yeah.
And of course, tell us your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to catch up with the latest WrestleRamble or WrestleTalk news, click the videos over Luke's face right now. Subscribe to WrestleTalk to never miss a future episode. Support WrestleTalk on Patreon. This has been Luke Owen. I've been Oli Davis, and that was Rambling.